right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is the Grunge Bible podcast. My name is Ethan Shalloway, joined by Chris Salona. This is episode 228,
20,
and
28?
I think it's 28.
I think you're right. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yes, yes. I always see. I might have messed you up. I went back into the 227 note, and I just
It tripped me up, man.
I just used its dead carcass for our new set of notes because
And that's
the
on
last one didn't have.
sustainability.
Yeah, I'm saving space. So this is 228. And Chris, I'd like to ask one thing. How are you, man?
Oh man, how am I doing? I'm tired. I am fucking exhausted, and it's been a while since I've been this level of fatigued. And the word many wise people have spoken to this, but
Yeah.
too much tripping and my soul's worn thin, perhaps could be deployed here. Although not the tripping element, but my soul is feeling a little
Maybe.
worn thin. Perhaps, yeah. I'm good. We're recording this on a Monday on July 28th. And had a busy weekend, as we mentioned last week. Eddie Vedder got me through my second divorce, redeemed for the first time in Grunge Bible history a token where I went and moved him, and it was a rousing success. We completed all of our objectives, but I'm pretty tired. Drove the moving truck from New Hampshire down to Philly for that. That was a long drive on the road. It was really, really hot and a little stressful at times, especially when you get into the city driving a big old U-Haul like that. But got it done. Nothing bad happened. It was a great time. Got to spend some time in the city, which is great. I love Philadelphia. It's a lot of fun. And just made my way back last night via the Amtrak and right back into the fire today, working, podcasting, the whole shebang. So aside from being tired, otherwise I'm pretty good. It was a good weekend, and we're ready to keep things rolling here. How are you?
I'm doing well. Doing well. I am. Yeah, we got ahead of this one. We're a week in advance.
This feels
Um,
good.
yeah, it feels good. Two, I think we recorded on last Thursday, maybe.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, so in our time, only 4 days has passed, and you had a busy weekend, and I had a pretty light, restful weekend. But as the time this comes out, I'll be in a total different spot. I'll actually be. I picture myself in the sands, yellow sands of the Outer Banks in North Carolina, drink in my hand, maybe just
Absolutely.
cheeseburger in paradise or something.
Oh, perhaps.
I'll put my parrot hat on, parrot head, and no, I'm going to be in a good spot. But I got a lot to do before then. We have the USA Championships, which I wish we could do in a recap right now because it'd be timely because it'd be
Yeah.
right after it finishes. But alas, we'll have to wait. So I'm really hoping for some an electric weekend. Something to be really just proud of and excited for. So yeah, right now I'm just taking care of the last things I need to take care of. I did my last workout and lift today. We're taking care of this podcast right now, which is great. I got a PT appointment in the morning, and then we're catching a flight, and we got a business trip. So, yeah, all
Nice,
things
man.
considered, I'm pretty good. Like I said, I'm pretty rested. I'm pretty much the opposite of you,
Yeah. Hey, between the two of us, there's enough
even
rest and
keeled.
Recharge to go around. So
It's always the duality of life with
yeah,
us.
we're never on the same timeline. We're never kind of timed up, with all of that the same. It's always funny too. I think particularly as it relates to javelin for you and traveling and competitions and everything. We typically we'll talk about them in the lead up to it, and we talked about it last week that USA's is coming up, and there's always uncertainty as to when we're going to record. So it's we do the preview, and then it's oh, just kidding, we're recording another episode before it actually happens, so we'll have to wait a little longer. But
Second preview.
yeah, exactly, the second preview. This is we're closing in on the actual event because you compete on the 31st, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
compete on Thursday. Yep.
Nice. Excellent.
So it's good. There's going to be in a field of 14 this year. I think I'm ranked like 8 or 9. So all I wanted is a medal. Top 3 would be great. So we got some work ahead of us, but stranger things have happened. If I just throw, if I can compete at my best, we'll really be talking. So who knows?
Yeah,
Who knows?
absolutely. I think it'll be pretty good, and yeah, and obviously at the end of that, the annual Shalloway vacation is on deck here, which is pretty great.
It's
I
nice. It's really
always,
buttoned up close this time. I can't
I
believe it.
know.
So it's nice that I'm competing on Thursday. I think when we planned it, I don't know if we knew and I was going to maybe miss a day or something, but like Thursday, I'm able to come in. I'm actually going to sneak in a bachelor party in between the two of them on
Oh my
Saturday.
goodness.
Yeah. It's kind of on the way. It's kind of out of the way, but it's kind of on the way in Savannah. So I'll be able to swing by, see some friends Saturday, and then so I'm gonna be in the I'm gonna be the travel meister next
Yeah.
as I normally do. So we used up all your innings, and now I'm
Yeah.
coming in for
Well, it's funny because you had a
the
lot of
next weekend
travel
outing.
doing the Memphis meet and then going back home. Because I think we recorded the previous episode when you were at home or something. But then you traveled, then I did my travel. Now it's your turn again.
Yep.
So we're just alternating as
Yeah.
you have to do. You know, you can't ride one starter's arm for too long. So you know, it's your ball this week. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you can accomplish with it.
Yeah. It's gonna be good. So all right. So this episode is, as we like to call, I mean, it's a mailbag. It's a different type of some events that came up
A
and just current
smorgasbord, if
event.
you
Yeah,
will.
smorgasbord. Because like I said, we're in our dog days of summer still, so nothing's changed here. We're just giving you. I mean, just there's some good stuff in this day of music to be topical, and like a lot of stuff's happening in the world. I mean, we talked about Ozzy's passing last week. Hulk Hogan passed away, and then Chuck Mangione also passed away. And my dad texted me and he said, "That's three." He's like, "Sounds like a podcast to me." And I was like, "Already
Well,
ahead of
Dave,
you,
you are
Dad." Yeah,
correct. Yeah,
I was like,
absolutely.
"We already got the Ozzy part taken care of," and so yeah. So that's kind of what's on deck. But before we do that, we like to thank all of our supporters, and they are found on the Patreon app. And as we've talked about many times before, there are three levels: the $2, the $5, and the $10 tier. And if you are so inclined to go over to this site, and you can become a supporter at any level, and we'll mention your name when you sign up. But if you're a top tier, we do go through the process of saying your name every week, and there's been a lot of movement, I guess, and or a lot of like kind of some good movement that is at the top level, and so it's kind of fun to talk about every week. So as you listen to the episode, if we spark your interest, well, first off, if you're listening to this episode, check back on some old episodes. They might be a little more telling. Um, but hey, at the end of the day, this is us.
Well,
So what are you gonna do?
you know what today is.
We own it.
When you go to a restaurant and you're trying to order an appetizer for the table, and like somebody wants one thing, somebody wants another thing. All the restaurants, they do like the big appetizer sampler where like there's something in there for everybody. And if somebody hates like fried pickles, they don't have to eat them. They can have the piece of the quesadilla that's on there. So a bunch of different things today. Hopefully, there's something on the plate that you'll enjoy. And perhaps you'll be so inclined to show us some more support. And if it's not joining the Patreon, you can check out the merch also in the show notes in the links there. And if that's not your thing either, just listen to it, leave a review, share it with a friend, anything like that goes quite a long way. So I would like to thank the members of the top tier over on Patreon. And at this time, Abraham, the cutest basset hound ever, remains the top dog, followed by the Cracker Man. And the rest of the top tier over on Patreon are Black Hole Sean, A Bit Dusty, Doug Endy, Gochu John, Eddie Vedder Got Me Through My Second Divorce, Heidi in Chains, Jade Mercado, Carlene Salona, Jamie Lynn, King Buzzo Stole My Hair, Looking California, Feeling Minnesota, the newest member of the top tier, the Michael Dooley Project, Nikki Six, Seattle 4 Fanboy from New Jersey, Russell, Sherry Matthews, Ultra Mega OK, and What the Fuck is Up Denny's. So thanks everybody for your continued support as we grind through these dog days of summer. And we've been hammering baseball analogies the last 6 months, I think, on this show. And this is dog days of summer. Like you've got, the pitching staff is a little worn and you're going into Kansas City for a midweek series, 3 games. It's hot. You just got to try to claw and win 2 out of those 3. So that's what we're going to try to do today here on the podcast.
Absolutely, and we will.
Yes, we
So
will.
yeah, going. Yeah. Anything else before we get into this day of music?
I think that's about it.
Yeah. So we'll go with I think yeah, just going back. I believe Chuck Mangione passed on the same day as Ozzy,
As Ozzy, yeah.
and so we don't want to have missed that. He was a legendary jazz artist. He has a single "Feels So Good." I'm not super familiar with Chuck's work, but my dad had texted me, and I did listen to him, and I can understand why I mean, he's that guy. He played with Dizzy Gillespie and Miles Davis, and like I guess he was in high school with them or something. And he was a part of the scene early, and like definitely influenced a ton of music, and was a part of the scene, and like just good compositions in the jazz world. I know that we're uh, not your jazz people are different jazz lovers. I mean, there is
They are
they
different.
and not and in a great way too.
Yes.
I mean, I was in the jazz band a little bit in high school,
Hmm.
and it is a total different language than the rest of the music, and it's a beautiful thing because of it. And anytime you listen to jazz enthusiasts talk, I mean, it is a treat. It is always like so special, and they talk about the albums. They're like the most knowledgeable music fans that I know. So this was a
Yeah.
big one in the community for everybody. So just want to make sure we brought that up.
Yeah, passed away at the age of 84. And I think I want to give myself a little bit of a long term homework assignment because I've spent so much time with just about every genre of music that's out there. I've never spent time with jazz. I kind of want to dip my toes into the water because
Yeah.
I feel like um, I have a I would say with not being like complimentary or tooting my own horn, but like I feel like my musical palette is like pretty well developed by this point. I've listened to so many different things. Like,
Right.
um, I got to give jazz a chance. I need to maybe see what it's all about. I'm sure. I mean, there's so much to it, and there's so much talent in that genre too. So perhaps just like a not like a due at the end of next week. I have to learn everything about it, but maybe like on the back burner if I have some time just to kind of start to see what that's about. I feel like that won't be the worst thing.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. There's definitely a lot to go through. Um I don't know where you'd start,
That's the thing
but
I have.
someone will tell us.
Yeah, someone will tell us. And foreshadowing this day in music, it's somebody's birthday today on August 4th. That might be a good place to start. But before we do that, we do have one more passage that we have to mention, and that is that Hulk Hogan died at age 71. So
The
Ozzy Osbourne
Hulkster.
lived longer than him. So we were talking before the show. It seems like abuse of drugs and alcohol is a more sustainable path, perhaps, than anabolic steroids.
Yeah, it's crazy. These guys, if you take Chuck and Ozzy, I mean, they're obviously very different, but they both had reality TV. They both had pretty big, long careers,
You mean
controversial at
Hulk and
times.
Ozzy?
What
I
I
don't
say?
think Chuck and Ozzy. I don't think Chuck Mangione was a reality TV star. Although maybe he was. I don't know. I don't know anything about jazz.
Yeah, that's funny. Um, no, yeah, talk about the Hulkster, and yeah, I mean, they both had very complicated, you know, lives that were in the spotlight for pretty much 75-80% of it, and it's crazy to whatever you think of them. I mean, they're kind of like same way Ozzy was. They're just like the way the Hulk impacted the WWE and wrestling. I mean, it's kind of some people say he's the best of all time, but I don't know. What do you think of wrestling, Chris?
Yeah, I
Are
was
you
just about to bring this up.
the best of all
Outside,
time?
yeah, outside of like, I think I was in fourth grade, and a bunch of my friends, right before we went through like the let's start a band phase, we went through the professional wrestling phase, and like I was always a poser. Like I tried to learn enough about it that I could hold my weight.
Okay.
Having conversations with my buddies like at recess or at the lunch table or something, but like I don't have any appreciation for it really. I don't really know anything about it other than like the handful of you know personalities that were popular in like 2005 or something for wrestling. But I don't think I have that high of an opinion of it. It's not for me. That's for sure.
Hmm.
Did you ever go through a wrestling phase, a professional wrestling phase?
No, my dad, like, that was just one of those things where he didn't want us watching wrestling.
Yeah,
And, like, yeah, we just, like, he told us it was fake. Why would you watch it?
yeah.
Like, we didn't believe in, the Easter Bunny and Santa, so we didn't believe in wrestling either. That's just the way it was. And, in our household. And the crazy part to me, and maybe it's just because talking Hulk Hogan, like he was, I mean, he was present during all that, but he retired from the WWF like in '93, um,
How do you?
which is like
I don't.
a long time. That's 30 years ago. So like, I mean, his wrestling career was in the '80s and '90s, and that's just I blew my mind that it's like so long because he's
Yeah. I do
I
know
wasn't aware
there's
of the situation and all that,
yeah,
what was going on.
there is a very specific type of person out there that was a child of the 80s that had a really bad week last week, losing Ozzy Osbourne and Hulk Hogan
Shit.
within the same couple of days. Like there's a couple people that I follow that are 80s kids like through and through, and it was a tough week for them. They were wrestling fans back in that day, and certainly got down with some Sabbath or some Ozzy. So tough week for them, I suppose. But yeah, I definitely am more distraught about the Ozzy instance than I am the Hulk Hogan passing. But
Sure.
both in the history books now.
Yeah, absolutely. I just remembered who I wanted to bring up for jazz guitarists, and I don't know much about him, but Julian Lage is a very, do you know that name?
I do not.
So he's like a prodigy. I mean, he's older now.
Hmm.
He's a little older, but he played with Goose last year or something. I remember watching it, hearing it, and I think Nick. I was talking to my buddy Nick, and I was like, "Yeah, we're talking about Goose and stuff." He's like, "Oh yeah," he's like, "Julian Lage played with him." And I was like, "Oh," he's like, "Oh, he's like one of my favorite jazz guitarists." He's like, he's really something special. So
Yeah.
that's a pretty good intro into use a jam band entryway and stuff. So I don't know, but Julian Lage, his stuff's really good. I've listened to just a little bit, and that's pretty
Okay.
sick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean, that could be a path in. Chuck Mangione could be a pathway in.
yeah. Chuck,
Also,
what am I saying? Start there.
also, Louis Armstrong's birthday
Yeah,
is today, born on this day in
perfect.
1901. And I mean, that's a perfect segue in. And Louis Armstrong, like whether you're a jazz person or not, like you know, like some of the bigger numbers from him. And even if you don't, like the Christmas songs are just absolutely gas. And I mean, what a talented musician he was, but his voice too, so distinct, and so good. So he was born on this day in 1901.
Yeah. All right, moving to 1936, a very historic year for track and field in the Olympics. Uh, Jesse Owens wins four golds in that Olympics in Berlin, and he won the long jump with a round six jump of 8:06. So for those out there, the sixth round is your last round. So to win at the very end is clutch, and 8 meters is still a great jump today. So even back then, when you were jumping off the dirt and landing in dirt or mud
With
and
less than
bad
optimal footwear,
yeah, with
everything.
I'm sure just just terrible equipment and boards. Um, he's one of the most influential and most famous track athletes, and we love putting track and field on the board. So
Yeah. I mean, Jesse Owens was just different. I mean, that was the 36 games were almost 100 years ago now at this point, obviously. And like, jumping over 8 meters is still a hell of a jump, because it is interesting if you look at some of the other events from that Olympic Games, the winning distances. Like, for example, Ethan, obviously old javelin, but 69.70 was the winning throw. Which I have to
69.70.
yeah, with the old jav. So
Yeah,
and
that's
even
crazy.
even more egregious than that, the winning throw, the gold medal throw for the hammer at the 36 Olympics, still the same implement, was 56.49. So you transport me back 90 years, and I could have won gold because I did not throw far, but I threw further than that.
That's unreal.
Yeah, man, it's crazy
Um,
because back then, like I'm sure they threw jav like off of grass or something onto grass, and like the circles for the rotational events, it was just like dirt or like hardened clay that they would throw off of with like these like
yeah.
awful leather shoes. And like you can go online and like find video of like the hammer at the 36 games, and it's just it's something else, man.
hmm
Absolutely
Speaking of
crazy.
Jesse Owens, do you remember the Jesse Owens invite?
I do, man. That was the final meet that we would go to before the conference meet at Pitt. It was like the
Hmm.
first weekend in May, and then we would usually compete the second or third weekend in May for ACCs. But
Yep.
yeah, man, I remember going to that thing. Nice old bus trip we took from Pittsburgh to Columbus, Ohio. That's the only time I've ever been to Columbus, but it's a huge college too, man. Like there's like I think like 60,000 students or something that go there.
I got the results right here,
Oh
and
yeah.
I I won the meet with 64 meters, and won by like four. It says you have a no, or you guys, did you foul out?
No, so what happened
You
was
must not have competed.
no, I did compete. They had like a minimum distance and I sucked then. And I think the minimum line it was like 54 or 55 or something. And at the time I was only capable of throwing like 51, 52. So like I did not
Yeah,
get a mark that day.
You, Jim,
Yeah,
and
nothing to
Bruce. Oh
show.
no,
That
Mark.
was it. I know AG
I mean,
Kruger won the meet, but yeah.
it's he's not on this T first
No.
listing, but there's only 5 people that had marks that day. That's
Are
crazy.
you serious? Only five? I
Yeah,
remember at the time.
they have like 10 people that fouled out.
That's crazy. I remember at the time, like the minimum distance was like a little bit higher than like what you would assume it to be because I threw. I remember I threw relatively well that day relative to what I was capable of, but I had nothing to show for it. It's actually I think it's the only meet that I went to at Pitt that I still have video from
Of course.
of me throwing, and I remember like Chip obviously was gassing us up. Like I think like they would have been PRs for all of us, but they weren't good PRs obviously. So they're lost to the great open field there at Ohio State.
That's
Um,
that's a crazy like. Do you tell people I PR'd? It didn't count. It didn't
well,
mark.
yeah,
But
I
like
mean, I
we
did
know
like
it was
I
PR.
didn't count. Yeah, I didn't I might as well have not even been there, man.
That's funny.
Lost to history. So we're gonna move up a little bit, and we're gonna move back into music here. And this one's pretty good because I find the Billboard charts to be confusing right now. But as I found out this morning when I was putting the list together, it used to be even more confusing. So on this day in 1958, Billboard combined their system, which at the time comprised of 5 different charts for sales, a chart for jukebox plays, and a DJ chart. So they took those the several charts that they had and they combined it into one that would become known as the Hot 100, which is referenced hundreds of times perhaps throughout this podcast's history and will be a little bit later on in this day in music. But man, I guess back then too, it was easy to find a way to say that you were charting.
Oh yeah.
So at least they streamlined it a little bit here.
Yeah, I guess you have to really take into account all the avenues. Yeah, I'm interested how they do it, right now.
Yeah,
Maybe I'll look it up after. Probably not though.
yeah, I probably won't. We can't lie.
Not like oh, that wasn't on camera. We were talking about steroid use earlier. I lied. um, that'll be our next podcast. Will be titled "We Lied."
Yeah.
All right, moving to 1961. 44th U.S. President Barack Obama was born.
August
And
4th, man.
August 4th. Great birth date.
There's a lot
420.
happening. Yeah,
It's not
speaking of
420. That's April 20.
You're close enough.
8/20.
Man.
Happy
Hey,
birthday.
happy birthday. Speaking of August 4th birthdays, say what you will, and depending on your political affiliations or views, you might have varying opinions on Barack Obama. But one person I think we can all get behind, 7-time Cy Young Award winner Roger Clemens was born on this day in 1962, winning the Cy Young in 86, 87, and 91 for the Red Sox, 97 and 98 for the Toronto Blue Jays, 2001 for the Yankees, and 2004 for the Houston Astros. Obviously fueled by copious amounts of anabolic steroids, but they didn't call him the Rocket for nothing, man.
That's so funny. Yes, he was a legend. Steroids or not, I guess. I mean,
Yeah,
he had a shoulder surgery like his second year in the league,
yeah,
and
that was
my
back
my
in
doctor did it. Well,
yeah.
the doctor who taught my doctor here in Birmingham, and he
You
was clean back
shook
then.
the hand that shook the hand. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay, moving ahead.
This
I'm
is one
glad.
for you. You're fired
I
up
mean,
about this one.
yeah, I'm definitely fired up about this one. This is, I mean, kind of a. I guess we have one more to this day music. Let's do that one next, real quick, because this next one's
Yeah, absolutely. So
so
I'll
it's
take
kind of like a little bit of the bulk of the our talking. So
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll move forward to 1984, and on August 4th of that year, Prince's Purple Rain album ascended to #1 on the Hot 100 chart, which, as we know, came to be in 1958. But let's get to the main
Yeah.
event here for you.
So okay, so yeah, I'll preface it, I guess. Last night I wanted to get to bed early, and which I did. Got into the bedroom around 10, and
Must
usually I
be
go
nice.
yeah, it must be nice, exactly. And as I was texting Chris, he was still on the train. But I lay there and I like to, go to bed with some sleep meditation, some music over top. And usually I just play either through an app that I mistakenly bought for a year or just random sounds on Spotify. But I don't remember exactly why I was listening to Pink Floyd earlier that week, but I do have a strong connection to Pink Floyd, dating back to the Outer Banks trip that we always take. I shared a room with Quinn, and it was like we used to listen to music and cassette tapes when we were little to go to bed. Like we listened to stories and stuff. My dad would
Yeah,
record tapes, and we'd sleep to
that's
it.
really
So
cool.
yeah, like he'd read stories and just play them over. So we would always go to bed with something, and we had the Wall on my iPod or something. I remember going to bed and listening to Pink Floyd to fall asleep all the time. Well, primarily at on vacation. It's a shared memory, and it's great music to go to bed to, as great music to stay up to, great music to, what I mean. It's just
Everything in
it's always
between.
it's yes, it's so good. And I was like, you know what? I was like, I'd like to listen to some Pink Floyd. So I told Google to play it, and um, I fell asleep. It still took a little bit of time. I don't know if I was just listening, I was just into it a little bit, but when I woke up, because I went to bed early, I woke up like early and at like 5 and couldn't really fall back asleep. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna listen to Pink Floyd. I'm gonna start my day. So I think I put it on and just started listening and just I started reading the Spotify biography about it, and I was like 5 to 10 paragraphs in and was still talking about like the band's inception and their being in a school of art, being in a band, like meeting in school, being in a band. And I was like, wow, this is like really like thorough. And then like the bio that they have written up on there is just it's crazy. There's a lot. And but I was really, I started looking through the albums and just doing a little bit of research, and I realized like, and I've done this before, where like if you go into Pink Floyd's discography, I mean, the amount of music that they have is crazy, and it intersects with art and like so much. You can tell they went to a school of like, I mean, psychedelic type of modern art kind of interpretation, right? That's how their lyrics, their arrangements, all this stuff. But if you go back to the beginning, like, um, it's just really like there's a ton of music out there that is really off the wall stuff and yada yada. And I came across their first album, so that, and then like I said, once I started talking to Chris, I realized that this album actually came out on August 4th. So the debut Pink Floyd album, they also, at the time, I believe they were also going by T Set. They had like 3 or 4 different names, but they were T Set slash Pink Floyd. It's Pink Floyd, but their album, The Piper at the Gates of Dawn, was released, marking the beginning of their influential psychedelic rock career. And this album was, like I said, 67, and it was the only album that was recorded under the leadership of founding member Sid Barrett. Um, and he left the band the following year. So he was with them from 65 to 68. He left due to some mental illness and drug use and whatnot. He just had to get out. And, the band, he helped write in the first 2 albums and a few other songs here and there. And they actually wrote different songs to pay homage and tribute, such as "Shine on Your Crazy Diamond," and really, a critical part of the band, and that's not disputed. He just wasn't a part of the whole history. And this album is, I remember I listened to it in the morning before I even figured it out. And if you've never listened to Pink Floyd's first album, it is crazy. Like I don't know, it really threw me for a loop. I was like, wow, like they were, I hate to say it, a lot like the Beatles, right? I mean, this is like
But
English.
obviously better than the Beatles.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, because it's Pink Floyd. I'm like, I give it, it has some credence to it, and I actually love that. Like, it's Sid Barrett, and it's a little different, and it's just before they were who they were, and it is so like London psychedelic rock. I mean, really similar to, I mean, like the Beatles. I think I read that they used like whatever the Abbey Road echo chamber device they had, and like they had a lot. It was a lot of weird, like definitely a lot of weird shit and kind of trance, like like we're doing drugs, versus more of like the atmospherical and like interstellar type of vibe that they get into. Which, by the way, is like way cooler and better. But it really, I mean, it was just such a crazy coincidence. And I've said on the pod that this band is definitely one of my favorite bands. And I've listened to, I mean, a ton of their music, and I still haven't touched a lot of it. And I think something that I love in music is the art side of it. And like this band definitely mixes art and music in such a beautiful way that, when people write hits or they write just songs, I mean, it's still artistic, but this is going to be pushing the boundaries lyrically, metaphorically, and different avenues of art that I really like. And that's kind of, I mean, I appreciate all forms of art, but like when it comes in the form of music, obviously I can speak that language and I can understand. I like getting heady with that type of stuff more than talking about maybe a watercolor painting or something.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, when you messaged me about this, I also never really spent too much time with some of Pink Floyd's earlier albums, and I don't have a good working knowledge of their history and just their timeline and everything. And it's one of those bands, like I think of Pink Floyd, I guess in the same way of Fleetwood Mac, in the sense that like the stuff that everybody listens to first and the stuff that's most popular is like a lifetime past the inception of the band. So like with Pink Floyd, for example, like Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here, and Animals were their eighth, ninth, and 10th studio albums.
Yeah.
I mean, you're 8 albums in. I mean, the vast majority of recording bands, they don't make it to four, let alone eight.
Yeah. They have
And
15 studio albums.
yeah, crazy to think about. And especially with like Sid Barrett being like the person in the band at the beginning, and and progressing obviously to the point where he's no longer in the band and different creative forces take hold. Like there's an entire other universe that you can explore here. And in a similar vein to you, like today is the first time I've ever listened to that first Pink Floyd album. And it makes perfect sense listening to this, like knowing where they began versus like what everybody knows well, where they ended up in the 70s, hitting their critical and commercial stride in terms of how well they were received and obviously how popular their albums were. Like you can tangibly feel the bedrock being built here for what they would go on to do. And kind of like Pink Floyd went on to make what was entirely their own thing, right? And there have been dozens and dozens of imitators and people who have been inspired by it. And you can feel the bones here, but it's like they're still kind of constructing this first album with like the set boundaries and the set rules of making this type of music in the 60s.
Yeah.
And sonically, like this album I think has a lot of peers from that time of like the bands that were kind of doing maybe some funky stuff. Like I thought of Steppenwolf and Jefferson Airplane, for example, as two bands that kind of sound similar to this vein. And it's cool to hear. It's like they were on to something, and they were progressing towards blazing that trail with this one. And I want to spend more time with the first 7 albums that they had. I've listened to some of the stuff that they did after the 60s, turn of the 70s, like Obscured by Clouds is their I think an album they put out in 72. But there's a whole lot of them that I've never sat down intentionally to listen to. And once again, like kind of in the same way of my comments about jazz, where it's like no matter what type of music you're a fan of, like there's stuff to be appreciated. And like they're interesting listens, and like this is super well done.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's all very well said. I mean, I think that, and similarly to a lot of people, I mean, there's like half of the music that from them that you're just not going to hear because it doesn't pop out on the radio, and
No.
you're not going to get some B side. I mean, that's just not going to happen. But it is always a treat to go back, and because we have the whole timeline, right? I mean, they're still kind of like doing a little bit stuff separately, and it's the history. Like, there's just so much to get into and see it all, how it all unfolded. Um, but yeah, seeing the kind of the development and how the process of what got them to, whether it be the wall or animals and stuff. I mean, it's pretty unique. And I think our friend Backton, he posted about the uh one of the a couple of I mean, honestly, a lot of their album artwork and the photographs or realism, like the Man on Fire, or was it Division Bell? I mean, a few of those, like how they made them, and like I always loved reading those stories and hearing about, what why it's very intentional stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's why we love like Gilmore as a guitarist. Like him and Jerry operate this space of like no wasted guitar licks and very,
Hmm.
very intentional and like they let it breathe, but then they let it like you also get the heavy licks and riffs and whatnot. So
Yeah. And the interesting thing about a band like Pink Floyd with their first 7 albums is like it is so opposite to what has happened with the bands that we typically talk about, like all of the grunge bands. Like if they made it, like they made it on their first album or like their second album, with the exception, I suppose, of Soundgarden, who was a little bit deeper into their career. But it's just it's so opposite from what we typically discuss, where it's like there was so much history prior to the first or second albums that made it big.
my
And
second album.
yeah, my second album, exactly, man. So yeah, this is another one that gonna have to spend some time with and dig into a little bit. I did that with Fleetwood Mac a few years ago, because obviously everybody knows their stuff from the '70s, but like their earlier stuff was like super bluesy, and so different from what they became ultimately most popular for. And I think that rings true here. And there's a lot, just as a music fan, I to get into the weeds a little bit and study and appreciate.
Yeah. Um, I'm going to take it to another branch here and
Blast
say,
off here.
yeah, I'm going to blast off with a thought. And because a lot of people talk about school of art school, music school, and different, say, mediums that they're not worth it. People are like, why would you pay a lot of money to go to a school in New York City, the New York Institute and whatnot? And there's a lot of schools in London that you can go to. And like I said, a lot of people think that it's not, you don't need to, you can do all that stuff on your own. And I'd like to push back on a lot of that and say that I think it's totally worth like say film school, like versus just going out and doing it your own. Of course, there's a lot of exploration to be done, but those schools, they have such a history, and I think they teach you the dynamics behind, and a lot of it is history stuff. And I think that with these guys, you know, having that background and like I think their exploration and their knowledge for music and what led to what like really pushed them to, like you said, like a bigger peak later in their career. I mean, they were basically producing an album one a year for 7 years
Breakneck
until
pace, as was the
yeah.
standard back in the late '60s and early
It's like
'70s.
that. It's like that project that Sam Culp told us about where he came in and was like, I need a song by Friday.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
And you
you
got to
need
play it in front of everybody. But like, when people talk about art school and they get to go and like, especially if you're studying abroad and you get to go immerse yourself in a different culture, I think it is such a unique opportunity. Once you get in the rat race and once you get into like a little bit older, I mean, it's hard to go and be like, I'm gonna spend 6 months in Europe and
Yeah.
that's, I'm gonna do that. And like people, it's very hard for people to, maybe it's not, maybe people are still doing it, but I would say that I want to do it right now.
Financially, it's very
I would,
difficult.
yeah, I would love to do something right now and it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah. Well, it just
But
goes like the greater conversation about immersion, and like we,
immersion,
we
yeah.
have less and less opportunities to do something like that. And like I suppose like the modern term for it would be just like a side quest, but like a
Yeah.
longer side quest. Like people like you don't
You crave for the side quest,
yeah, man,
Chris.
crave for them. Like you don't and you have less and less time for them as life goes.
And even like, but just even like a simpler like me getting into these bands, like once you start reading about them and the history of them, like a lot of the dots get connected. And I think that when you're dealing with music, art, or literature, like if you want to write, like reading the old stuff, I mean, there's no better teacher than the stuff that was, going to see it for yourself. I mean, I've talked about it many times, like just traveling to Europe and to different areas made me like want to explore the history book a little bit more. I was like, man, I'd love to have a history class nowadays because I didn't understand anything when I was 17, 16 years old and Mr. Kuznets's sixth period. Big Oasis fan, by the way.
Oh, excellent. I love
Um,
that.
yeah, but it's just really cool. Like you get a few of these, like there's a school of rocks out there and those musicians, like, I mean, they're just, well trained and they have like a background. And some people may not like it because it maybe people think that it bottlenecks them or pushes them a certain way. But at the end of the day, I mean, you need both. And it's pretty cool. And I think Pink Floyd is, going to be on my radar for a while coming up.
Yeah,
I'd love to
dude.
get into the zone again with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go for a walk.
I wish we had had this discussion like 4 days earlier because I certainly would have listened while I was driving the truck on
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah.
That would have
Listen
been
that
nice.
listen to Piper at the Gates of Dawn.
Yeah, exactly. Might have turned out to be a little bit of a different drive then, perhaps. But yeah,
Yeah.
man, that would
So
have been a good one.
yeah, definitely. I don't know. We've done a little bit of like we haven't done a ton of deep dives into rock and like history of rock and rolls type of
Right
bands.
outside
And
of like grunge rock.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Be kind of cool maybe. There's some segments coming up, but
yeah. We love a good
no,
segment.
yeah. Another segment that I want to talk about. And I don't know, maybe it's just because it's on my page a little bit, but um, I just the never ending jam band hate that goes back and forth is so funny to me. Mainly like Fish fans like bagging on Goose because
They're still going on with that.
well it's funny because Fish was exactly that and still is to a lot of people
Yeah, for
like
the dead.
for the dead and whatnot. And it's I don't know, it's just summer season, so there's a lot of festivals and stuff. People are playing, and I don't know. I feel like it's more prevalent on my timeline of people like maybe it's just one specific band like making jokes, and I think it's funny. It's no doubt like funny
Yeah.
that people are just so. It's one of them. It's just such a guarded community for whatever. Like the turf wars are hilarious to me.
Yeah. It still goes on.
That's all I
Like,
really have to say. I just wanted to
yeah.
bring it up. I'm just like
It's
like
even like, but at least like that's like a genre that is still active. Like I sometimes like I'll go on like the Reddit page like r/grunge or like all the grunge bands have like the popular Reddit page and like the fucking fighting that goes on and even in like the comment section on Grunge Bible like give it up, like give it a rest, man. Like it doesn't matter. And like I don't know. People make so way too much of a big deal about like, you know,
yeah.
if somebody has the right to occupy the space or not. And certainly like, oh, who's better? And it's like, oh, they're not good. Like,
I
who
mean, don't get me wrong.
cares?
I like a good debate, right?
Yeah, but
You know,
like,
like I love a good debate when you're with your homies when you're having a few drinks and you're putting stuff on, but like um yeah, they just won't rest with like I'll never listen to it. It's this and that. And like I said, it's funny because Fish fans are yelling at Goose and Trey's played with Goose a ton of times.
yeah,
And like I said, Fish gets a lot of shit for
yeah.
a lot of stuff they've done on
Like I
stage.
think there is no need in the artistic spaces to be that rigidly principled about stuff. And like the only like outside of like AI art, like which I
Mm,
think is atrocious and there shouldn't be a space for it. Like it's inherently open to fluidity and for people to do different things with it. And like if there's like a set like like a set level of principle or whatnot, like it's just not necessary, and it shouldn't be restrictive like that or inhibitive. Like just let people listen to whatever they want, let people make whatever they want. And I mean every couple of years there's a new big argument like that when it comes to music. And you know we've always talked about like the Greta Van Fleet one, for example, where it's like, oh, they shouldn't be making music like this or whatnot. And I don't know. I'm tired. I'm too tired to get into a lot of that
yeah.
stuff. Like as a music fan, like I just don't think it matters anymore.
Yeah. Luckily that one's fallen off over the past couple of years. The Greta
Yeah,
Van Fleet.
thankfully.
At least it's fallen off of
I've definitely
my
tuned out.
radars.
That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Awesome. Well, that's pretty much it. I mean, we could ramble a little bit more about these topics, but maybe we want to save that for next week. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. Who knows what tomorrow will bring. I do briefly want to give a little bit of a recap of the music that I listened to while I was stuck in a U-Haul for about 8.5 hours. I've never driven a truck of that size before, so like I had to get my bearings a little bit. But like once I got on the highway, I was absolutely hammering some Queens of the Stone Age. Like ever since I went to their show a couple months ago, or a month and a half ago, whatever it was. Like I've been listening to a ton of Queens of the Stone Age. But then I realized like it's not every day that I'm behind the wheel of a big truck. So then I listened to like a lot of like outlaw country trucking songs, like a whole lot of Waylon Jennings. the
Cocktail
convoys of the
Boogie,
world. Yeah, exactly. All that kind of stuff. I
Radar
hit
Love,
that.
hopefully.
Oh yeah, you better believe it.
Hell
I
yeah.
hit that, and I have just begun listening to some Frank Zappa as well. So
Oh,
yeah,
talk about jazz
yeah, dude,
influence.
dude, it was pretty sick. So last
Now Frank
Thursday,
is the he now
yeah,
he's a trip. Nah, that
last
dude's a trip.
Thursday, yeah, man. Last Thursday, I was in the gym and we were popcorning the iPad around, and my coach Jared put something on, and he like we talk music all the time. He's one of us in that regard. And this like super sick instrumental came on, and like I was like, what is this? Like I don't know what this is, but like I need to know what this is because I want to listen to it more. And it was a Frank Zappa song called Apostrophe,
Mm.
which is from the album Apostrophe, and it was just absolutely unbelievable. So that was on Thursday. I immediately added it to the playlist, and I'm in the truck. I'm getting ready to go over the Cuomo Bridge, like right in the middle of the drive. I'm hitting the traffic. I'm pretty demoralized, and I get a text from him, and it pops up on my phone or on my watch rather, and I see it's a Spotify link, and then it's followed by a text. This ought to get you through 20 minutes or so, and it is an unedited master take of a Frank Zappa song called Willie the Pimp. And it's just like an instrumental song, and man is it good. Like I've gotten really excited about music the last like 4 or 5 days in a way that I haven't in a little bit, where
Yep.
like I'm exploring new areas. Even stuff that I actively like is sounding good again, and I'm just really excited about it. So like I was I didn't listen to any podcasts. I wasn't on the phone
There you
too
go.
much. Like I was back in it, and it
Locked
was
in.
yeah, man, and it was thanks to a lot of the Queens of the Stone Age stuff that I'm still devouring, and just different things like that. Like I've always obviously known of Frank Zappa, but it took Thursday in the gym hearing that song to get me into it, and then with this song, like immediately shared
Apostrophe.
with some of my other friends. Yeah, Apostrophe, and then Willie the Pimp. Those were my
That's
two
crazy.
my two go tos, and like I definitely the Willie the Pimp one it's like 15 minutes long, and I
Yeah.
definitely got at least 45 minutes out of it because I listened to it at least 3 times. So it
That's
was
hilarious.
definitely helpful, and it got me through the middle parts of that drive where I was struggling a little bit. So pretty happy about that.
That's awesome. I remember I don't know if it was the first time listening to Frank Zappa, but definitely first time realizing that he wasn't who I thought he was. I mean, it's like one of those like realizations like, wait, Frank, this is Frank Zappa?
Yeah.
And this song was Watermelon and Easter Hay.
Oh man, that's
And like, yeah, it's like really it's just like a mood, and
yeah.
it's
And
sounds
furthermore,
like the low spark of the high heel boys
exactly.
walking
Yeah,
around and
like it's there's a universe that you can step into. And furthermore, like as if the music wasn't good enough, the album artwork for the Apostrophe album is
oh
just
yeah,
top tier.
classic.
It's just Frank Zappa just mean mugging with his lovely beard, or with his mustache and the soul patch. Probably the best soul patch I've ever seen, and up there for the levels of mustachery that were on display there. So I'm excited about music again in a way that I haven't been in a little bit, thanks to some different areas. And
I agree.
yeah, so I'm feeling
Sometimes
pretty
like
happy about that.
the nice thing is I have my record player in my kitchen right next to my coffee maker, and it's so easy to want to put on your speaker and pick what you want to play, and just put making music the center of whatever you're doing for like at least 10, 15 minutes if not more
Hmm.
really changes how you listen. And like you said, when you're in a car and you get to put it on, like I'm going to be on a plane tomorrow and I can't wait to like listen, and just like you just appreciate it differently. It makes your mind go places, wander, and like
Yeah,
and think about whether it be the song or lyrics or other feelings. Just concentrated listening is just so what's the word I'm looking for? It just excites the brain,
it
right?
does. Yeah.
It does something like it just like gets your imaginative imagination juices,
Imagination.
the juices flowing.
They're
And
percolating.
yeah, so some Pink Floyd and Zappa is on our radar again.
Yeah, and some jazz. Don't forget about that.
Oh yeah, I mean they did. You know, they're offshoots of jazz.
Yeah,
Chuck
man.
Mangione is coming back.
We'll get a little bit of everything here. So, as we close down this episode, I'm just going to cut right to the chase, and I'm going to pick Apostrophe by Frank Zappa as my song of the week. Ethan, I'm not sure if you have one readily available.
I mean, yeah, we've talked about a bunch of stuff, so I will. I'll go watermelon and Easter hay. You know, I'll stay in the Zappa zone just
Nice,
because
man.
it's the most recent one we talked about, and it's worth a listen. So
Sure is, man.
that
That's
one
awesome.
definitely turn the lights off, put a candle on, and lay down,
Oh, yeah.
close your eyes.
Close those eyes. Yeah, 100%.
All right,
Right
everybody,
on.
thank you so much.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
That wraps up another episode of the Grunge Bible Podcast.
Thanks for listening.
We will be back next week. Believe it or not.
Come hell or high water.
Yep, we're gonna release everybody. Release me.
That's it. Have a good week, everybody. We will talk to you next week.
Rock and roll, guys. Thank you.